Huge shout out to this video's sponsor, Antelope Hill Publishing. Antelope Hill Publishing is America's leading publisher of dissident books. Their eclectic catalog includes
Curious. Leading publisher of dissident books. Neat. Computer. Enhance. Antelope Hill Publishing. Antelope Hill is an American white nationalist publisher based in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. It is known for selling translations of historical works by Nazis, fascists, and ultranationalists, as well as works by far-right writers. Everybody, Jeremy Hambley of The Quartering. You probably know him. He's got a very successful channel, a lot of subscribers, 1.57 million, one of the biggest pop culture / political channels on the internet. Also a fucking haven of homophobia, transphobia, biphobia, all the phobias. Racism, not a big fan of black people, not a big fan of indigenous people, but he will be very quick to defend himself by saying, hey, by the way, you can't say that I'm a racist in the way that I'm speaking because I happen to have 2 gay black dads. I can't be homophobic and I can't be a racist. I got 2 gay black dads. That absolves me of all of my potential incriminating crimes. And so this video that I'm about to show you has, guess what, absolutely nothing to do with Disney Plus. You're not gonna have to learn about Disney Plus. We're not gonna be talking about Disney Plus. Today, we're gonna be talking about sponsors, sponsorships. Now, every single YouTuber doesn't make a lot of money off YouTube anymore because all of their videos, if you happen to say anything that isn't 100% advertiser friendly, they get demonetized. My videos get demonetized all the time. It's the reason why The Quartering talks so weird. He'll say things like Nazi instead of Nazi, or he'll say prawn instead of porn, because he's trying to avoid the naughty words that obviously the algorithm are going to detect and instantly demonetize his videos. So that's the reason they talk in that fashion, and the reason why a lot of other people bleep their videos. There's some people who go through the hour-long process of bleeping their entire videos from all the bad words. I've done this before, and then all of a sudden you still get demonetized. There's other times when I've had videos that have so much language that I didn't even bother. I'm like, there's just no point in me trying to make this advertiser friendly. It's never going to pass, and then it did. So it's not exactly in any way, shape, or form a good and or perfect system. It's just kind of chaos, but that's the way in which it works. But in order to make more money, a lot of people, including myself, I've done, you know, VPN ads before. You do a little ad read, cold ad read. It interrupts your videos. You know, you've heard them all. HelloFresh, Burger King, Raytheon, all that stuff. You probably heard them a million times. Every single time you're watching your favorite YouTuber, it gets to a certain point, and all of a sudden, and that's why this video is sponsored by. And then like, oh, okay, I gotta just skip over the next like 25 seconds here, kind of thing, right? But you'll never guess. In this brand new episode, it's only about 11 days old, I believe, at the time of me making this, you'll never guess who sponsored The Quartering in this video about Disney.
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering. I hope you're having an absolutely wonderful day.
Oh, it's about to get better.
Of interesting news as the writer's strike now reaches, I don't know, its millionth month or something like that.
Right.
You know, and legitimately, admittedly, I've had to pivot a little bit and been looking for different types of content to cover. Actually, I'd be extremely
the struggle is real.
If you left comments in the comment section down below.
The struggle is real.
Maybe stuff you'd like to see me cover a little bit more of during the writer's strike, because, you know, dunking on woke Hollywood trash is kind of a staple of this channel. But
yeah,
nonetheless, there's some new interesting information on Disney and how terrible Disney Plus is, and just how desperate they are in terms of getting out from underneath the massive debt of many failing arms of their company. Turns out Disney Plus is really not good at putting out good programming, and we're going to talk about that after a quick word from this video sponsor. Huge shout out to this video's sponsor, Antelope Hill Publishing. Antelope Hill Publishing is America's leading publisher of dissident books. Their eclectic catalog includes
Curious. Leading publisher of dissident books. Neat. Okay, so it's a publishing house, and they publish books that other people don't often publish, where normal men fear to tread.
Lord Miles' memoir of his first trip to Afghanistan during the Taliban takeover, Raw Egg Nationalist book, Eggs Benedict Option, his Raw Egg Cookbook, and his Man's World annual magazines, and an anonymous J6 prisoner's political analysis of the government that betrayed him, entitled The American Regime. They've also published historical books from time periods such as World War II, the Spanish Civil War, many of which were previously unavailable in English, such as
you know, a bunch of historical texts. That's what they do over there at Antelope Publishing. They publish historical texts. That's what they do. You know, talking about the old Spanish Civil War. Wonder from whose perspective. Yeah, what are those books about? You said World War II books too. What are we talking about? Whose books from World War II are they publishing?
Leon Degrelle's The Burning Souls. The goal of Antelope Hill is to ensure that books of historic, cultural, and political value are preserved, made readily accessible and easily affordable so that history, facts, and ideas cannot be censored by corporations or governments. Whether you count yourself a political dissident, a student of history, a connoisseur of philosophy, or an enthusiast of exciting and thought-provoking fiction, you owe it to yourself to check out their catalog at antelopehillpublishing.com and use promo code quartering10.
Oh, but bam. Oh, look at this. So we have an actual quartering link, specific quartering 10, and you get 10% off your purchases. Check that out. How glorious does that sound, everybody?
One word to get 10% off.
See, I'm supported directly, I suppose, in this case, by viewers, not by Antelope Hill Publishing. But interesting sell, you know, so it just sounds like it's a regular old bookstore, but they publish a lot of historical texts, and they publish a lot of stuff, and they want to publish books that other publishing houses fear to, you know, delve into for one reason or another. I'm not entirely sure yet, but I mean, the music is nice, you know, we've got some audio, you know, audio blocks, generic commercial music, some video blocks, generic, you know, B-roll footage here, and we've got an official quartering 10 code for this organization, Antelope Hill.
Your total purchase. Go check them out, support the channel, and support a great sponsor.
Okay, so let's look at this. I'm more curious now. Computer, enhance. Antelope Hill Publishing. Antelope Hill is an American white nationalist publisher based in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. It is known for selling translations of historical works by Nazis, fascists, and ultranationalists, as well as works by far-right writers. It was founded in 2020. The Southern Poverty Law Center is called Antelope Hill, an anti-Semitic hate group. Translations have included works by Adolf Hitler, the Belgian Nazi war criminal Leon Degrelle, the Nazi sympathizer authors Julius Evola, Wilfred Bade, and others. Most translations are credited to pseudonyms, including one credited to an online neo-Nazi message board, according to the Southern Poverty Law Center. Whoo, yikes. Now, it gets more yikes, by the way, if this wasn't yikes enough, but we're talking about a white supremacist book publishing company that wants to promote and sell Nazi fucking propaganda. Now, before I get the cancel culture 1987 Greg Levin Orwell George fucking crew saying like, well, Lance, a publishing house is allowed to reprint the works of Adolf Hitler. Come on. And you're not incorrect. I mean, if you were to go to any academic bookstore on any university campus, you might find copies of Mein Kampf that are being used in courses to teach about the Holocaust, or to teach about anti-Semitism, or to teach about genocide, or to teach about ethnic cleansing, or to teach about all that kind of stuff. Yes, you will find those books. This is a publishing house that specifically publishes neo-Nazi propaganda, literature, and books. This is not from an academic standpoint where you want to then learn why this is bad. This is because you want to have a whole bunch of Nazi books that may be out of print, because most other bookstores don't really want to engage in this particular arena. White nationalist book publishers revealed. Hate Watch has identified 3 previously anonymous principals in the publishing company Antelope Hill Publishing, which specializes in translating historical works by Nazis, fascists, and ultranationalists, and original works by contemporary white nationalists, neo-fascists, and others on the far right. That's also weird, because if you want to say and use the defense of, well, this is just because they want to publish historical prints, they're also publishing modern day writing by neo-Nazis, fascists, and ultranationalists. So it's not simply the old-fashioned historical World War II literature, as the quartering so vanilla-ly put it. You know, this is certainly a very downplayed severity of what this actual organization does. Hate Watch identified these individuals using a combination of public records, podcast recordings, commercial data services, and a range of other documents and online material. Hate Watch research and analysis reveals that Vincent Kuchera, 24, Sarah Elizabeth Kuchera, 25, a married couple residing in Green Lane, Pennsylvania, are 2 of the individuals behind Antelope Hill. The pair have appeared as synonymous spokespersons for the company on a number of far-right podcasts, including Sarah Kuchera, billed under aliases of the company's editor-in-chief since mid-2021. Hate Watch investigation includes a third person, Dmitry Anatolievich Lutzik, 25, who's played a less public role in the company's operations. Lutzik appears to have first relocated to Pennsylvania's Lehigh Valley in 2021. In late April, he bought a house there, and he's been assisting them as the buyer agent. Since 2020, Antelope Hill was profited from hate by translating historical works by 20th century Nazis and fascists, offering a publishing platform to contemporary white power propagandists, and shipping books around the world using selling platforms including Amazon and YouTube. Good job, YouTube. Remember when you said you were getting rid of all the Nazis on the platform? Well, you're just letting this ad run with a promo code, nonetheless. This year, they achieved wider prominence when one of their authors, the synonymous raw egg nationalist, appeared in a preview for an upcoming Tucker Carlson documentary on masculinity, which is set to air in June. So this article is a little bit old. The Kucheras and Lutzik have a long shared history of far-right activism, stretching back to their time together as students at Penn State University. The publishing operation is one aspect of their ongoing participation in the white power movement. Specifically, Hate Watch has found considerable evidence that has close cooperation between Antelope Hill principles and a network of far-right associated with white supremacist National Justice Party and the Right Stuff podcast network. You're not only buying books from a propaganda house looking to publish the works of Nazis, ultranationalists, fascists, and neo-Nazis, but they're also directly collaborating with full-right white supremacist organizations. It just keeps getting worse. From its founding in 2020, Antelope Hill has won fans on the extreme right by publishing both historical and contemporary far-right authors. Early on, the company sold reprints and translations of works by 20th century Nazis, fascists, and nationalists, with an emphasis on the works from Nazi Germany and its sympathizers. Antelope Hill's translation include works by Adolf Hitler, Belgian fascists, Nazi collaborators, SS commanders, and a convicted war criminal, Leon de Grelle, Wilfred Bade, whose Conquering Berlin is a laudatory account of the campaign of political violence carried out by the Nazi paramilitary, the SA, also known as the Brown Shirts, in Weimar Republic era Germany. Any Antelope Hill authors who are not explicitly far-right in their politics have historically been appropriated by contemporary extremists. One of their titles is a collected works of Padraig Pearse, an Irish nationalist intellectual who died fighting against British rule in 1916. Pearse is a contested figure. He's adopted as a figurehead by the far-right in Ireland and beyond, while some scholars have argued that this represents a misrepresentation of both him and his context. Most of the Antelope Hill translations are credited to pseudonyms, according to the Library of Congress copyright records. Hate Watch has yet to conclusively identify all the individuals behind the pseudonyms. One translation of a Nazi era Wehrmacht fitness manual is credited to the Bureau of Mimetic Warfare, a neo-Nazi message board. More recently, Antelope Hill has published a series of original books authored by active members of current white power groups and propagandists for far-right movements. These include 2021 Opioid for the Masses, which is billed as a reportage of the opioid crisis. One of the book's two credited authors, Norma-Asa Trey Garrison, is a longtime white nationalist propagandist and podcaster on the TRS network. The Library of Congress copyrighted records list the co-author as Richard McClure as the pseudonym. Also in 2021, Antelope Hill published Cultured Grugs, an essay collection credited to the longtime TRS host John Borzoi Chapman. In 2021, the anonymous Comrade Collective ACC identified Detroit, Michigan resident Jesse Daniel Ogden as the person behind the Borzoi Boskovic persona, which Ogden has reportedly used as a front for his prolific production of white nationalist propaganda. Hate Watch reviewed ACC's findings and determined that Ogden's name appeared twice in the metadata for two images on a blog attributed to Borzoi. Hate Watch emailed Ogden as a request for comment, but there was no immediate response. Along with the TRS-connected authors, Antelope Hill's original include books by a range of contemporary nationalists, neo-fascists, neo-Nazis, far-right extremists from the United States, and beyond. In May 2021, Antelope Hill launched a Little Frog Hill imprint for contemporary out-of-print children's books aimed at incalculating white supremacist ideology into children. And now, we go into the secrets. A man Hate Watch believes was Vincent Kuchera, appearing using an alias, described Antelope Hill as a collection effort in an interview on a podcast of a white nationalist TRS network on May 16, 2021, claiming that it involved a, quote, large group of very dedicated people. In another podcast, they said under pseudonyms referred to as Constantine in the esteemed leader of the company. No one involved with the company uses their real names publicly. Indeed, public records in several states show the efforts company founders appear to have made to conceal their identities and maintain the company's operational secrecy. An unidentified individual registered Antelope Hill Publishing in New Mexico through a registration agent. New Mexico law does not require public disclosures of the founders or owners of the LLC. On March 18, 2020, the unidentified individual used the New Mexico LLC to register Stephen and Son Book Publishing in Louisiana. Hate Watch reviewed the company records from the Louisiana Secretary of State and found that Stephen and Son Book Publishing listed Baton Rouge, Louisiana as the address principal and mailing address for the company. Leaked data from the extremist-friendly web services provider Epic shows that the same Baton Rouge address listed for Stephen and then the book publishing is used in the website registration transaction between Antelope Hill and Epic. So good reporting on this case and investigative journalism by the Southern Public Law Center to basically prove all the ties. In January 2021, on the 28th, someone using the name John Miller registered the publishing LLC in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania company law requires LLCs formed in other states to register with the Commonwealth Department of State in order to do business there. The Department of State documents confirm that Antelope Hill was originally registered in New Mexico, and the information within matches the documents obtained by the state. In the Pennsylvania documents, one person again is using the name John Miller, described themselves as Antelope Hill's chief publicity officer. Miller provided an address that matches a Quakertown, Pennsylvania UPS store. UPS services include private mailboxes, and the Quakertown address is shared by dozens of individuals and companies. Hate Watch has not yet determined whether or not John Miller was a pseudonym, although it is of note that John Miller was a longtime alias Donald Trump used to impersonate his own fictional publicist. I don't think there's a connection with Donald Trump. In the Pennsylvania State Department, I think it's frequently used by people who may associate with some of these groups. In addition to public records provided useful information, Hate Watch consulted commercial data providers and other sources for information that pointed out that Lutzik and the Gutierrez are leaders of Antelope Hill. Commercial Credit reported multiple telephone data services, information to prove their connections. So someone put East Greenville property owner by them on the market. The Gutierrez acted as the real estate agent. The Anti-Fascist Research Collective provided online evidence to Hate Watch indicating that Vincent Gutierrez is currently working as the realtor. AAC's findings reflected in online materials from Experience Reality based on the township of Limerick, identified them as the employee. Hate Watch has called them, no comments, no response. There's basically a pretty thorough, if you go through this, detailed investigation connecting all of them both to hate groups, ultranationalist groups, neo-Nazi groups, white supremacist podcasts, white supremacist organizations, and media networks. There's a reason why they're all effectively trying to hide who they are. It's because they have a publishing house that is definitively involved in publishing Nazi shit. Nazi books, fascist books, neo-Nazi books, fascist writing, using a lot of online language perhaps that, normies would not understand or wouldn't connect directly with, extremist groups online to hide behind, and repackage the entire thing so that it can be sold on a major channel. I mean, we're talking about a channel that has 1.57 million subscribers, and the whole thing just sounds so friendly, right? Like, do you remember the music? Listen to this. Listen to how the whole thing is framed.
Hill Publishing is America's leading publisher of dissident books. Their eclectic catalog includes Lord Miles' memoir of his first trip to Afghanistan during the Taliban takeover, Raw Egg Nationalist book, Eggs Benedict option, his Raw Egg cookbook, and his Man's World.
See, okay, Jeremy, here's the ad read. It's like, okay, so what do I got to say? It's really critical that you don't mention why there's so much Nazi literature available for purchase. Don't talk about that. We prefer if you said World War II literature. And, I mean, if you have to talk about all the Franco stuff, maybe just say books on the Spanish Civil War. And then also talk about, things that we know resonate with your audience, freedom of speech, censorship. We're just trying to become one of the last publishing houses willing to have the courage to publish old literature that other publishing houses won't. Do that. Do your read. We'll give you a promo code so that people in your audience, hopefully they're all of age, but we don't give a fuck. Money is money, right? They can use that promo code and they can buy Mein Kampf, essentially. And other books. I mean, I'm sure, we have very sophisticated algorithms as well that can suggest other literature that they might be interested in buying based on their prior purchase history right here. So there's that as well. There's a article directly on Wikipedia about a lot of this. There's, again, really great job that has been done by both Hate Watch and the Southern Poverty Law Center to expose this entire organization as being a neo-Nazi organization that it is, trying to promote white supremacist propaganda. And this one is one of those things where either YouTube doesn't know that this happened, or they are blatantly giving a pass on something this extreme. This is 100% extremist, far-right, white supremacist, neo-Nazi fucking bookstore being promoted in real time on a channel that has over 1 million subs, right? That's what's happening here. Hate Watch apparently tried to stop by. One of the cars had a sticker that said Blue Lives Matter. What a surprise. I know who you are. I know who both of you guys are, he said at the two Hate Watch reporters in the car. We'll see each other again someday. On the same day, Hate Watch drove to the property and found it empty, dilapidated, and possibly nascent stages of renovation based upon some tools and equipment. Someone left behind a broken toilet. Hate Watch visited the East Greenville property, the apartment site of the publishing operation, found it shaded by trees, partially under construction. Hate Watch made it out what looked like a trailer home parked in the rear of the property. Hate Watch tried ringing a doorbell. A heavyset bearded white man and his dog answered the door. He did not give his name, but told Hate Watch reporters, Vince is my landlord, referring to Vincent Gutierrez. Hate Watch observed a pile of boxes through the front windows, as well as 2 vehicles parked in the driveway. Hate Watch followed the in-person visits with 3 properties, repeated requests for comments. They did not receive any. All 3 individuals identified by Hate Watch have a shared history of far-right activism that stretches back to their time as students. Hate Watch reviewed Penn State commencement records and determined that Vincent Gutierrez graduated with a degree in chemical engineering. These same documents indicated that Sarah Gutierrez graduated from Penn State College, and the state records say that she's still registered as a school teacher in the state. Wow. Sarah Gutierrez, then goes by a different name, was a prominent campus anti-abortion activist whose activities occasionally made waves. She was interviewed under her unmarried name by OWN, One American News Network. In 2016 to 2020, Vincent Gutierrez and Dmitry Lutzik were core members of a pro-Trump group active on campus called the Bull Moose Party. One member of the Bull Moose reportedly described itself as the alt-right club, and a master thesis described the tensions the group produced as it staked out positions to the right of Penn State's established Republican club. Lutzik founded chair of the BMP, according to Penn State newspaper The Collegian. He resigned after a reported leak of internal messages from the group that contained homophobia, racist slurs, and rape jokes. Lutzik founded another group, America's Student Front, which described itself as an independent, clandestine organization of Contra Antifas. Of course. Another Penn State newspaper, The Underground, reported the ASF had been responsible for white supremacist posters hung in downtown State College, making it okay to be white banners. This is a slogan for the far right. The Internet Archive has preserved archives of the now deleted State Patriot website, which billed itself as Penn State's source for real news. They've been doing tons of far-right stuff post, and obviously leading to having this book. The holder of the accounts does not explain the choice of the handles. It had the numbers 14 and 88, which featured in the Twitter handles, have specific, well-established connotations. The 14 numbers invokes, the 14 invokes the 14 words, which I'm sure you're all familiar with at this point. 88 invokes HH for you know what. They regularly post raw materials supportive of the NJP. They've used the alias Eric Stryker on a podcast talking about white supremacist shit. Series of YouTube videos have been on there as well. Far-right podcasts. They're part of a massive far-right podcast circuit. All of this is obviously, pretty horrifying and disgusting. It's also just like one of those things where it's really scary how stuff like this can just slide underneath the radar. You know, where you can have the quartering talking about Disney. This whole video is supposed to be about, look at how woke Disney stock is collapsing because Disney went so woke.
This is absolutely terrible at actually putting out good programs.
Now, there's not any age restriction on the quartering's content. I can't speculate where the age demographic of his audience skews, but safe to say there may be some younger viewers who may watch this and have been exposed now to a neo-Nazi fascist propaganda bookstore ad. And there's also, again, a quartering promo code to be able to sign up and get 10% off your copies of Mein Kampf. There's no other details outside of, again, the link here. Save 10% with the quartering if you go to the website, which I'm not going to be clicking on. Absolutely wild. Absolutely wild. Just blatantly here on fucking YouTube for everybody to see.
Many of which were previously unavailable in English, such as Leon Degrelle's The Burning Souls. The goal of Antelope Hill is to ensure that books of historic, cultural, and political value are preserved, made readily accessible and easily affordable so that history, facts, and ideas cannot be censored by corporations or governments. Whether you count yourself a political dissident, a student of history, a connoisseur of philosophy, or an enthusiast of exciting and thought-provoking fiction, you owe it to yourself to check out their catalog at antelopehillpublishing.com and use promo code quartering10.
Just so wild. So fucking wild. Yeah. So, yeah. I guess let people know. Do not go to Antelope Hill. It's a Nazi bookstore. It's a Nazi bookstore being promoted on YouTube. It's a Nazi bookstore being promoted on YouTube with discounts. With discount codes. Thank you to the quartering. So, fantastic. And disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
Do you enjoy the Serfs but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form. Available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free, just like the podcast.
Thank you so much for watching, everybody. This show is produced by amazing people like you, and if you want to help us out, please consider donating over at patreon.com/theserfs. The show is made possible thanks to Amazing Fletch, Anna Loves Riley, Ariane McCarthy, Cheryl Alvarez, Doug Cady, Everything Important, Hagbard Celine, Laminia Panza, Matthew Scarborough, Multimondi, Omni, Peanut Butter Blondie, Political Pappy, Quiet 185, Rachel K, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Ruby K, Sir Nickus, Spinach Monster, Stellar Vision, Sebastian Demo, Tech Tink, Trevbot EXE, Words Greenwood, and not to mention all of the amazing and fabulous people you now see before you.